This is a quick follow-on video just demonstrating the changes that we made to ensure that the layout groups were always opened in the right order. And so as you may recall from the previous video where we're requesting support, we had two screens that were associated to this customer orders group, and we have this employee group which has one screen, which is this employees list screen. And within each of the links is a property called position, and the intent of position was to allow us to order the basically to allow the developer to understand an order associated to similar items that were relating to another domain element. So in this case here, this split container is actually also a layout group in DevExpress, and we have this one set up so that it's docked to the left and has a width of 400. And its orientation is set to vertical. And then we have these two other groups, which are, we call them view group controls, but they are also layout groups. And so when they open up, or when they're created, and that would be when any of these screens is requested to be opened, for the first time, if that group does not exist, the framework will attempt to open it. In this case, it's a layout group. And that is determined if you go here, and you can see that that's the export that's being used on that is a layout group control. And so we have two layout group controls, and what we want to do is we want to ensure that this customer's orders group, which has a collection of two screens, is always on top of the employee group in the case of it being orientation being vertical. And if we were to change this to be a horizontal orientation, then this would always be to the left of, sorry, this group would always be to the left of this group. All right, so let's take a look at now the code changes that we've implemented to allow us to do that. So we have this check position layout, and this code is actually in the override code, which is part of the extension that's provided, or the provider project that we provide. And there's many overrides that a developer can implement, but in this case here, this core layout override allows them to control the behavior. So the base behavior does not have this ability, and so by just simply overriding the code, we have the ability to, when it creates a view group, which is in this case a layout group for DevExpress, and this is the code that gets executed. And so what we do is we check to see that there is a parent, which there should always be a parent, and that there are items within that parent, which should always be those as well. And then we simply enumerate the list of parent items. And what we're looking for is to see the index of the current layout group that was just created. And then we're looking to see if there is a positional index value that it does not equal the value of the current index of this particular item. And if that index happens to be less than the count, it's considered a good candidate to be to execute this code, which basically moves the items around within the items collection of the parent. And that was a recommended support that we got from DevExpress. So now if we run this, so it comes up as it did before. We have the two tabs. They are sharing the same docking area, so when they open, they will, no matter what tab you're on, you will see the same set of screens, as we see here. So let's put that down. Now, so I've opened up the customer list detail, and if I was to open up the employees, my expectation would be, because it's set to 1, position of 1, it should be opening below the customer list detail as it's done here, which is great. And of course, if I go back and I open up my order screen, it'll open to the right of the customer list detail. Now currently we're not doing the same logic here, which we're going to implement next, but basically it should work the same way as the items collection is for the parent, or sorry, for these grouping layout groups. All right, so now if we were to close each of these screens and just open them up again, but this time what we'll do is we'll open up the employee screen first. And so when the employee screen opens up, it'll open up, it'll create that same split container domain control and the employee group. That's basically what's been created at this point. But now when I open up the customer screen, previously it used to open up below, and now you can see that it's opening up exactly where we wanted to on top, which is kind of nice. And of course, the orders will open up to the right still. We still need to, as I say, put the code in to ensure that this order is correct. But if we were to, for instance, now close this down, and if we were to change the orientation of the split container, so the split container right now is set to vertical, so we're going to change that and make it horizontal and re-execute this. Same application. So we'll open up, this time we'll open up employees first. And as you recall, it has been modeled to be horizontal instead of vertical. So now the expectation is when I open up customers, it will open up to the left of employees list detail, as shown here. And if I open up orders, it will be in the same group as the customer list detail. But again, it's modeled this way. So that's cool. And then one final thing we'll try. So what we'll do is we'll make a copy of this, and we're just going to change it a little bit to Control C, Control V. Oh, we have to do it this way. Copy, paste. And let's see. What we'll do is we'll just remove this link from here. Like so. And so now we have customers, and we'll just call that one customers as opposed to customer orders. It's a customers group, and now we have an orders group. And go to one. And the last thing we want to do is just take our toolbox, create a link between our orders screen, and we want to link our orders group up to the top. Now we're going to change this one so that orders is position of 2. Okay, so what we had before is we had the employees set up so that it was always the endpoint. Now it's going to be the orders. And let's go back to our vertical orientation. And so now we have basically our customers group, and our customers group contains one screen. So when we open up the customer list detail screen, it's going to situate itself in a customers group. Then we have an orders group, which is going to be the last one in the vertical stack. And then we have employees. Employees will be in the middle. So let's take a look at how that works now. Okay, so now if we open up our customer screen, and now we'll open up our orders screen. So orders is after customers. So when it opens up, it's going to basically open up below customer list detail. And then finally, if we open up employees, the expectation is because the positional value for this guy is 1, he should open up in the middle. And that's exactly what happens. So at the end of the day, we now have the ability to set the positional index of a specific collection, group collection, and it'll always respect that order, no matter how the user opens up the screens. So for instance, if I open up customers, it should open up as the first one. And it does. All right, well, thank you very much.